Now, anti-Israel sentiment, anti-Semitism, and the BDS movement continue to make waves. The latest incident at Rutgers University, where anti-Israel student groups are now calling to defund Rutgers Hillel. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, with misinformation and delegitimization of Israel becoming almost mainstream. And now, this past week, U.S. President Joe Biden appointed historian Deborah Lipstadt as the U.S. ambassador to combat and monitor anti-Semitism. And she will no doubt have her hands full with the recent growing tide of anti-Semitism. Here to discuss all this and more is ILTV Global Affairs Analyst and Senior Fellow at the Tel Aviv Institute, Hen Mazzig. Thanks for joining us. So let's start off with the latest incident at Rutgers University. What exactly is happening there?
So students supporting Students for Justice in Palestine, the anti-Israel group on the campus, which it's a national organization that have chapters all over the U.S., have decided to call to defund the Hillel house on campus because what they describe it as being too Zionist. The idea that a Jewish house on campus where Jewish students can go to and have Shabbat dinner or have celebrate holidays. And of course, because Jewish identity is inherently tied to the land of Israel, Israel is also part of Jewish identity. But both Zionist and anti-Zionist Jews are welcome there. It's just a Jewish house on campus. And Students for Justice in Palestine have decided to make this the target of their attack, calling the university to defund this student house, basically turning from just a student group into a hate group that is targeting the Jewish community.
Absolutely. Simply a Jewish house for Jewish students to go and spend their time there. And this is the type of uphill battle Jewish students and pro-Israel students are facing across many U.S. campuses. Is that right?
Absolutely, and I think we're really reaching a tipping point in the situation on college campuses. This is joining a petition of academics that were calling to boycott Israel, and now it's targeting. It's no longer about Israel; it's just about Jews. And I think that for decades, American universities had been discriminating towards Jewish students, and now they're trying to make campuses basically unbearable for Jewish students. And I think it's up to the universities to step up and say this is not okay. There's a conversation, but there's also an attack that we will not tolerate against any marginalized group, and specifically this group.
Now, it's just not only on college campuses, right? This past year has seen a drastic rise in anti-Semitism in the U.S., but also around the world. What can you tell us about the nature of these anti-Semitic incidents? Are they the same types of incidents we've seen in the past, or is this sort of taking on a little bit of a different form?
I think that we are seeing the masks being dropped from many of the anti-Semites out there. I think that if in the past people were thinking twice if they can just be anti-Semitic in this way, now they just add that it's about Israel and it's not about Jews, and it's no longer anti-Semitic. I've seen people online saying things like Hitler was right and then adding hashtag Free Palestine. This is not making you any less anti-Semitic to add criticism of Israel. Anti-Semitism is anti-Semitism. And yes, when you go as far as denying the Jewish people's right for their self-determination, it is anti-Semitic. And I think that after the recent operation in Gaza, as well as people being stuck at home and being online, we are now seeing this shift, and the conversation is really becoming more and more violent. And Jewish people are the butt of this attacks, and we are the ones that are paying the price. It's not Israel; it's the Jewish people in the diaspora that are carrying this heavy weight.
Now, let's talk a moment about the new appointment of the U.S. ambassador to combat and monitor anti-Semitism. As someone who's out there on the front lines, what do you think she should focus on first and foremost?
I think, first of all, I think it's an amazing appointment. Deborah Lipstadt has been an incredible voice. She's a historian, and what is better than an historian that has researched the Holocaust and actually wrote a book called Denying the Holocaust, where she later on had to defend in a trial against Holocaust deniers to be the top person in America to be responsible for combating anti-Semitism with the Biden administration. I think she's a fabulous appointment, and I think that she's going to. I mean, I'm trying to think of where she should start. Definitely, college campuses is one place. Social media giants that have been ignoring anti-Semitism or doing very little to combat it because it helps their stock prices to have more controversial ideas spread on their platform because it draws more users. This is another place to go to fight anti-Semitism and also in the Democratic Party as well as in the Republican Party. She's going to have a lot of work to do. I'm wishing her best of luck, and I think we all really are need someone like Deborah Lipstadt to lead this fight.
Absolutely, we wish her luck. Hen Mazzig, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thanks for having me.